It all comes down to this one final episode to determine whether we can achieve the unachievable and keep Norwich City in the Premier League, or whether we are going to be resigned to Championship football once again. It is the final episode of Season 2 of our realistic Norwich City career mode, so let's get into it. Now, we do find ourselves in the relegation zone to begin the episode. Bournemouth are guaranteed to go down. Burnley pretty much the same. But I think we are one of 4 teams fighting to avoid that final relegation spot. And it is not going to be easy to achieve that. We have Tottenham, Manchester City, Leeds and West Ham as our final 4 opponents this season. And I struggle to see us getting more than 4 points, which would bring our total for the season up to 35. Now, we said at the start of the season, 35 points is the target, but looking at the schedules that Brighton, Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest have, I'm not sure that's going to be enough to survive. Brighton sit just 1 place and 2 points above us in 17th. Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest are each also on 33 points. But those 2 teams also have a game in hand. Brighton themselves have by far the easiest run-in of each of those 4 teams, facing Brentford, Wolves, Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest. They should be able to take about 5 points from those fixtures, bringing their total for the season up to 38 points. Crystal Palace probably have the most difficult run-in, but the additional game does give them an advantage. They should be able to grab a win against Burnley, even if they do lose. Their other 4 fixtures against Villa, Newcastle, Manchester United and Liverpool, they should end up with 36 points. And finally, Nottingham Forest have a pretty difficult run in too, but again, I see them getting a win against Burnley, a draw against Brighton, and even if they lose against Newcastle, Liverpool and Villa, they should end up on about 37 points, which would mean that Brighton, Forest and Crystal Palace would ensure survival, whilst we would be stranded in 18th position and go down alongside Burnley and Bournemouth. Now, obviously, those are only predictions, and we're going to do whatever we can in this episode to avoid that scenario taking place. I think wins in our final 2 games of the season against Leeds and then West Ham would be enough to ensure survival, even if we do lose, as predicted, to Tottenham and Manchester City. So those will be our 4 fixtures for today's episode. Our final game of the season at Carrow Road against West Ham will be our featured game. You'll see highlights of our trip to Elland Road just before that. I'm going to start out by quick simming our games against Tottenham and against Manchester City. I would like your thoughts in the comments below though. We have 4 games to play this month. Our usual format for each episode is we play about half the games, we simulate about half the games. That's what I've chosen to do here again today. But obviously we are fighting for survival. Each of these 4 games is important. So if you think in these kind of situations we should stray away from the usual episode format and play all of the games, I'll show you highlights of 3 and one of them will be a featured game. Let me know in the comments down below. We could stick to the usual episode format and just roll the dice, play half, sim half. We could try and take matters into our own hands a little bit more and give ourselves the best chance of survival by playing all 4. The chances that we get a result against Tottenham or Manchester City are pretty slim, whether I play the game or simulate them. But obviously the chances are slightly higher if I do play them. So let me know in the comments below, just for future reference, what you think. In these kinds of scenarios, would you prefer we stick to the usual episode format of play half and sim half? Or would you prefer that we played all of the games to try and dictate the best possible result and try and craft the scenario that we obviously want to come to fruition? As I said, whether I played this game or whether we simulate it, our chances of getting anything from Tottenham away from home are very, very slim. But Johannes Thorup is going to show faith in his 3 at the back formation, in the same starting 11 that he has been showing faith in so far. With one exception, Tieno Ballo comes in on the right for Johnny Rowe. And we do start out with an all too predictable loss. Only a 2-1 defeat though. Isak opened the score in 12 minutes into the game. Wolf equalised 3 minutes later. He's come up clutch with a couple of goals in recent games. Heung-min Son scored the winner for Spurs just after the hour mark though. Crystal Palace drew against Aston Villa, so they're already a point ahead of schedule. Brighton, however, lost 1-0 to Brentford, so they are already a point behind schedule. Nottingham Forest are yet to play, but they did beat Burnley 2-1 midweek as predicted. So heading into our second game of the episode against Manchester City, we are pretty much where we were at the start of the episode, pretty much where we thought we would be at this stage, and we got the result that we were expecting to get as well, a 3-1 defeat this time. It was a goalless first half, surprisingly, but Rodri scored just after the break. Doku followed on shortly after. Ballo grabbed one back just after the hour mark, but Berardi secured the game for City late on. And with those rounds of fixtures, a lot changed. Crystal Palace beat Burnley. Brighton absolutely smashed Bournemouth. Each of those two teams have almost certainly secured safety for next season. But after losing to Leeds and then West Ham, Leicester have been dragged into the mire. They have just a single game left to play and find themselves on 37 points. However, with 2 games left to play, 6 points behind the competition and a minus 33 goal difference, we would pretty much have to beat West Ham and Leeds 10-0 to secure survival. So it does look like our season is over. And this was always the risk, simulating those first 2 fixtures of the episode. Although, as I said, if I played those fixtures, I imagine the result would have been the same. I can't see myself beating either Tottenham or Manchester City. Maybe we could have got a point and that would potentially have made the difference come the end of the season, but even grabbing a point against those teams would have been a stretch. So we will simply try to finish the season on a high. Our strongest 11 will take to the field initially here against Leeds, but we will be trying out some youngsters over the course of these last 2 games of the season as well. Leeds are always a tough opposition, particularly at Elland Road. They've become something of a rival for Norwich in real life, and that's continued into this series. They got off to a really bright start. Jason Steele, playing one of his final games for Norwich City, had a very good one. He was called into a number of saves as Leeds pressed to take the lead within the first 15-20 minutes. But we almost took the lead ourselves with one of our few opportunities of the first half. Josh Sargent turning the ball towards goal from the corner. It was parried by the goalkeeper initially and then cleared off the line by his own defender. It was Sargent who almost opened the scoring again from the following corner, turning the ball towards goal once more with a header, but again it was parried away by the Leeds goalkeeper, this time around the post. And Sargent potentially could have had a hat-trick in, 90 seconds? The resulting corner again generated an opportunity. Tieno Ballo turning the ball into the box this time, and again the Leeds keeper parried away. And it was Leeds who would eventually open the scoring just before half-time. Far too easy for the striker to find space in the box. Really poor defending. Jason Steele as well, poor goalkeeping. How many times has he been caught out like this season? And he was caught out in the exact same way after the break. He loves rushing off his line, but if you're going to rush out, you've got to commit. He finds himself in no man's land again. The Leeds striker easily chips over and into the far corner to double the lead. From there, we made a whole host of changes, one of which was bringing Adam Eder on up front, and he grabbed a goal back for us shortly after Leeds doubled their advantage. Marcelino Nunez linking well with the striker, who is going to be playing a far more prominent role for us from next season. And it was Nunez himself who 20 minutes later would grab the equaliser. Tieno Ballo bursting through on goal. It was another good save initially by the Leeds keeper, but Marcelino Nunez was on hand to tap in the rebound. And although we did well to fight back and draw level in the game, it wouldn't last long. Maximilian Webber absolutely burying a header from Willy Gnonto's corner to re-establish Leeds' advantage going into the final 10 or 15 minutes. Leeds did put the ball in the back of the net one last time. Willy Gnonto again pulling the strings, but the goal was ruled out for offside. The linesman's flag quickly being raised. There were some bright spots in the second half for us. We brought on William Lee, who almost turned the ball towards goal, as well as Reece Preston, who forced this unbelievable save from the Leeds keeper after an athletic attempt via the bicycle kick at the back post. What an equalising goal this would have been for the debutant. But ultimately, we do lose, and that result does secure our relegation to the Championship next season. I'm not sure why Leeds are celebrating like they've won anything but a regular game. Not sure why Willie Nonto seems so despondent as well. But that does bring us to our fourth and final and featured game of the episode against West Ham at Carrow Road. With nothing left to play for, we are given a full home debut to William Lee. He'll join Tierno Ballo in support of Adam Eder up front, though Josh Sargent will have a chance to say goodbye to the home fans. Miles Lewis-Skelly gets a start in centre midfield, as does Marcel Lotka in goal, whilst West Ham also look like they're going to be resting some of their starters for the final game of the season. En-Nesyri does start up front though, Lucas Paquetá in the side, as well as Mavropanos, Zuma and Jared Bowen. So without further ado, let's head over to Carrow Road for the final game of Season 2. We'll try and send the home fans away with a victory, but at the very least, we'll be able to get a look at some of these young players ahead of the summer. So we are up in the commentary box for the final game of a thoroughly disappointing campaign. And we got off to such a good start as well. The perfect start. We went 3 for 3 in our opening episode. 4 for 4 if you count the cup game as well. But 3 straight wins in the Premier League to open the season. And it was downhill from there. Adam Eder in the box, trying to get us off to the perfect start in this particular game. Nothing to play for in this one except for pride and potentially for a place in the first team next season. We have William Lee starting on the left-hand side today. He looked really bright when he came on against Leeds, as did Reece Preston, who will be making an appearance later in the game as well. He'll be making an appearance from the bench, probably at half-time, although certainly at some point in the second half, if not. We also have Reece Moss, the defender, on the bench. I'm not sure whether he's a fullback or a centre-back at this point. At 5'7", I think 152, he's probably a right-back, but he could certainly play as the leftmost of a centre-back 3, or as the rightmost rather of a centre-back 3, in the position that Callum Chambers is taken up today. Marius Wolf captains the side today for the first time. One of our more experienced players in the side at this stage. Jason Steele potentially could have captained the side, but Marcel Lotka starting in goal today. He has to prove himself. Now that we know we're going to be in the Championship next season, I think it's likely that he will start. It's good save early on from Lotka. I want to see him be a little bit more sure-handed than that, though. It's possible that we bring in a goalkeeper in the summer. As West Ham back off William Lee, he drives forward. Shot eventually blocked by Kurt Zuma. But West Ham less than willing to challenge the youngster cutting in off that left-hand side. It's possible that we bring in a goalkeeper in the summer. A true permanent number 1. Somebody we would hope to, or that we would plan to keep the number 1 shirt if we were to go straight back up again. Marcel Lotka, I'm not sure, would really fit that bill. I think he'd be a solid enough goalkeeper in the Championship next season, but if we do have another season like our first and we go straight back up, I'm not sure he can make the jump to the Premier League. Eder in the box can't quite get there. We are very much looking to go straight back up. We are looking for no mercy next season. We finished top of the league in the end last year, but it went down to the final episode, if not the final game of the season. I think it went down to the very last game of the season, did it not? We are looking to break 100 points next year. Maybe even set a new record in terms of total points at the end of the season. We will be moving on from the likes of Josh Sargent, almost certainly Johnny Rowe, maybe even one or two others, but just the departures of Sargent and Rowe would give us ample budget to really strengthen our squad with some good, talented, high potential young players. Our transfer policy in the series so far has been short-sighted at best, and I'm not saying that's exactly a negative thing, because it has seen success. It did get us promoted year one. Without the signings of guys like Jason Steele, Wesley Hoyt, we likely wouldn't have gone up season one. However, it hasn't really given us a platform to build on for the future. It's given us a low ceiling, I would say. Yes, those signings did get us up to the Premier League. They haven't been good enough to keep us in the Premier League. And now that we're going back down, the squad needs pretty much a complete refresh. So potentially that transfer policy should have been a bit more forward thinking from the start. And potentially we should have just accepted that we might stay in the Championship year one, but that would give us more of a foundation for the future to go up and stay up year 2, year 3, and then into year 4. But we did bring in Tiano Ballo. He is obviously a young, high upside player. A lot of potential yet to fulfill. And he has grown and developed significantly since joining the club. He was not the best when he first joined, but he's really grown and developed as a player. Very versatile now. He can play in that number 10 position. Marcelino Nunez. What a save. Great save from Anang. I believe a young goalkeeper playing ahead of Alphonse Areola today for West Ham. Ballo can play in that number 10 position that we might utilise again next season. And he can play out on the wing that he's been doing more often this season. Adam Eder again finds Nunez. We do want Eder in the box though. Delivered anyway. William Lee in there. It's not exactly what we've brought him into the side to do. Good challenge, Patrick Pfeiffer. We have also brought in Patrick Pfeiffer. He is deceptively young. I believe he's only 24. Again, not had the most spectacular start to his Norwich City career. He's looked far better in the centre of a 3 than he did in a pairing at centre-back. But only 24. Again, a lot of room to grow and develop. And we have brought in, on a loan-to-buy deal at the very least at the moment, Miles Lewis-Skelly. One of the reasons he's starting today is so we can get another look at him. He has been all but anonymous, though, to say the least, in the opening half an hour of this game. Only 1.5 million buy option, so it wouldn't hurt to add him to the squad, particularly since we are going to be losing a number of players in centre midfield. Kenny McLean, I believe, is under contract still heading into next year, but he's going to be depth and nothing more at this stage of his career in the Championship. Adam Eder, can we find him? Tiano Ballo puts it on a play. Adam Eder opens the scoring. Half an hour into the game, 1-0 up. Really good ball from Tiano Ballo. That's hopefully going to be a connection that we see time and time again next season. Tiano Ballo into Adam Eder. Eder will be our starting striker in the Championship. That is at least one silver lining of going down. I know a lot of you in the comments have been calling for more and more playtime for Adam Eder. It's been hard to give him that with Sargent up front. And when we are just playing the single striker, we did of course start the season with the intention of playing 2 up front. But that 4-4-2 system just, it didn't work. We had to go back to just a single striker. And Sargent is just clearly our best player. He's our Harry Kane, basically. He is not only our best player, not only our best goal scorer, but also the captain, the leader, a real locker room presence. So, with Sargent in the side, just Adam Ida's first team opportunities have understandably been limited. But, as we said, Sargent will be moving on. That starting spot will be Adam Ida's. And he has developed a lot over the course of the series, to be fair. He's up to a 75 overall now, I believe. I think he's going to be a real menace in the Championship next year. Given that he's going to be playing week in, week out. And he's going to be getting delivery from the likes of Tiano Ballo, Marius Wolf. So heading into next season, I think there are a handful of positions in the starting 11 that we will need to address. I think left back is probably one of them. Harry Toffolo's been good for us for sure. And I think he would be well cut out by Patrick Pfeiffer and finds Tiano Ballo. That's a rash challenge. I think Harry Toffolo would be fine next season as well at left back, but I think we want to be setting our sights a little bit higher and again bringing a bit more youth into the squad. So I want a starting left back who can start if and when we make it back up to the Premier League. I'm fine with Marius Wolf at right back. I'm probably fine with our collection of centre-backs, although Jose Cordoba, with his lack of game time and our less than stellar season, is also agitating for a move. Bournemouth have put in an offer of 6 million for Cordoba. Good save. Marcel Lotka. So Jose Cordoba could well be on his way. Hoyt is obviously reaching the twilight of his career. Callum Chambers to some extent as well. We do have a couple of youngsters at centre-back. Maybe we'll look to bring in one centre-back. But I think centre midfield we absolutely need. We have Marcelino Nunez. He'll be a key player for us next season. We have Leander Dendoncker. Beyond that, we have almost nothing. We have Kenny McLean. I don't want him to be more than a bench depth player. We have Jacob Sorensen, but again, how long he's willing to stick around, I'm not sure. He has agitated for a move at various points this season. He hasn't secured one yet. He was supposed to leave in January, but a move never ended up materialising. So whether or not he is happy to stick around now, or whether he still wants to move on, we will have to see. But as the half-time whistle goes, we do have a 1-goal lead at Carrow Road. We are currently on track to send the home fans away with at least 3 points in their back pocket. And I think we'll get another youngster or two on at half-time here, so we can get a look at them as well. Thank you for checking out this episode of our realistic Norwich City career mode. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're approaching the end of the FC24 cycle now, but there'll be plenty more content to come with the release of FC25, including 12th man memberships. If you want to get more involved with the channel, check out the membership tiers on my homepage. Memberships start at less than £2 per month and come with a whole host of benefits and rewards, including you being able to feature in my career mode saves. We'll be starting a road to glory with a created club as soon as FC25 drops. So if you want to be included in the save or even feature in our starting 11, become a 12th man member of the channel today. 12th man members also get exclusive early access to all of my videos, not only my career mode series, but also my realistic slider sets and everything else in between. If you want more information about exactly what each tier involves, be sure to check out this video on my homepage. If memberships aren't for you, you can also join the public area of my Discord server, or just keep watching and enjoying the content for free right here on YouTube. As always, I appreciate all of your encouragement and support. Now, let's get back to the video. So, just the single change at half-time for Johannes Thorup and Norwich. It's going to be Abu Kamara on on the right-hand side. He's been a kind of a forgotten player for us over the course of this season. A very, very talented youngster who looks like he's going to play a relatively significant role for Norwich in real life this season, especially now that it looks like Johnny Rowe is going to be on his way out. William Lee drives into the box, crowded out by two West Ham defenders. But at a 70 overall with really good pace, dribbling, he could well play a role for us next season, now that it looks like Johnny Rowe is going to be on his way out. I asked for this in the last episode, but again, let me know in the comments what you think we should do about Johnny Rowe if you haven't already. If you are unaware, he refused to play for Norwich at the weekend as I record this, in Norwich's opening game against Oxford at the weekend. He was in the starting lineup 20 minutes before the game. He said, Marseille put in a bid for me, I'm not playing. And so that's understandably soured his reputation amongst Norwich City fans somewhat. So although I was happy to keep hold of him this season, with that in mind, we may look to shift him. Brought down by Skelly. Good effort. Really well struck. And Naziri into Estevez on the right hand side, and we are all kinds of pulled out of shape at the back. This is the advantage of playing three centre-backs though. Wesley Hoyt can come across. That's a really good save at the near post. Marcel Lotka. Marius Wolf almost gives the ball away in his own box. Wesley Hoyt once more. Toffolo into the feet of Lee, who finds Miles Lewis Skelly with two runners outside of him. He's just overcooked the pass a little. William Lee not giving it up easily though. West Ham going to make a change. It's going to be Sucic off, João Cancelo on. Love that signing for West Ham. I loved João Cancelo when he was in the Premier League. I think I've said this before. Well, I had him as a top 5 player in the Premier League. Not just a top 5 defender, top 5 fullback, a top 5 player. I thought he was absolutely incredible at Man City. Oh, I was just trying to squeeze William Lee in there with a quick free kick. Wouldn't let me take it. Patrick Pfeiffer! We haven't seen that often enough from Patrick Pfeiffer in this series. I thought he was going to be an absolute menace from set pieces, as West Ham are looking to get back level. Bringing the youngster Orford off for Mohamed Kudus, so a very attacking substitution. William Lee is going to deliver the corner. Almost finds the head of Wesley Hoyt. Instead it falls to Patrick Pfeiffer, who turns the ball towards goal, but incredibly tamely. We've looked the much, much better side in this game, though. I'm not sure why we couldn't play like this a little bit more often this season. Good challenge, Patrick Pfeiffer. And Marius Wolf tries to lay it into the path of Abu Kamara, but gets it all wrong. And Chambers forcing Mohamed Kudus back. Kamara back doing his defensive duties as well. Can't keep hold of the ball once he'd won it, though. Good challenge. It's the path of Adam Eder, who can break away. Kamara outside him, and we just couldn't get the pass off. And Naziri. It's another good save by Lotka. Dug it out from the top corner. I thought potentially we were going to be in trouble there with the referee. Slid in with Callum Chambers to try and block. And on the hour mark, West Ham are going to make their third change of the game. I think we're going to make another change or two as well, as West Ham bring on James Ward-Prowse. So William Lee hasn't quite made the impact here that he made against Leeds. He's going to make way for Reece Preston, another of the youth academy prospects that we signed in the last episode. Reece Moss has also come on. He's going to be playing on the right of that back three where Callum Chambers was previously. Abu Kamara has shifted over to the right-hand side, to the left-hand side rather, so Reece Preston can play on the right. Couldn't find Kamara with that particular pass though. James Ward-Prowse, one of West Ham's recent introductions. Miles Lewis Skelly winning the ball very, very well. I think we'll probably pick up Lewis Skelly's buy option. Just because we are so light at centre midfield. Wide. Kudus really should have done better there. We are so light at centre midfield. Liam Gibbs is another one that I failed to mention. He's been so disappointing in this series. Here's another player who looks like he is going to play a pretty big role for Norwich in real life. And somebody who's certainly got a lot of promise in real life, but he hasn't realised that in this series. And he's given us absolutely no reason at all to play him. So we haven't been. And so he's obviously become, again, frustrated with the lack of playtime, frustrated with the disappointing season. So he's agitating for a move as well. So I think we will probably see Lewis. I always want to call him Lewis Gibbs. We will almost certainly see Liam Gibbs depart in the summer. Good ball in towards the back post, but we can't win the header. So that leaves us Nunez, O'Brien, Dendoncker, McLean as kind of starters. Adam Eder brings it down on his chest, gets a shot away on the half turn. I tell you what, Adam Eder is going to score 30 goals in the Championship next season. He's going to be incredible. And then beyond those 4 starters, we don't really have anything. We have Christian Davis, but he's going to need to go out on loan for at least 1 year, maybe 2. Tiano Ballo, I guess, kind of counts as a centre midfielder, but not really. I mean, he's at number 10 when we play him in the centre. But we're probably going to be playing him wide as much as anything next season. Preston. Really good feet. Marius Wolf outside of him. Really good pass. Lofted in towards Adam Eder at the near post. It was a good run from Eder. Headed away by West Ham, though. Eder will apply the pressure now as well. Well worked by West Ham, though. Calm, composed from Kurt Zuma. Miranda now for West Ham. Good challenge. Marcelino Nunez. Could have done with a run inside there from Preston. But he went for the overlap instead. Usually it's the other way round. You're desperate for an overlapping run and they run inside. Preston gets the shot away. Again blocked by a West Ham defender. Preston has looked bright though. Against Leeds and in here against West Ham. The overhead kick was... That would have been goal of the series. Not just goal of the season, but goal of the series. Another good save by Lotka. Looks like it's offside though. And I think now's about the time to bring on Josh Sargent to play his last 15-20 minutes or so for Norwich City before we say goodbye. And we will be bringing on Kenny McLean as well. His place in the squad is not 100% secure for next season, I guess. He may well leave the club. I imagine he'll still be on the team next season. But that's certainly not set in stone. Harry Toffolo. Can we get Sargent one last goal at Carrow Road? Not like that, we can't. I think we do just have to pay homage to Josh Sargent. He's been absolutely incredible for us. He scored double-digit goals this season in a really, really poor campaign. Let's get him one more. It's got to be. He hits it straight at the West Ham goalkeeper. That's frustrating. One last goal for Josh Sargent would have been beautiful. I don't think he's going to get an easier chance than that either. Kamara finds McLean. Shifted towards the back post where Reece Preston wins the header. How impressive has he been? So most of these youngsters we will be looking to send out on loan next season, but if Preston and to a slightly lesser extent Lee can continue to impress, we may well keep them around to play bit part roles for the first team instead. There's going to be a lot of squad turnover this summer. It's going to be a massive, massive transition for the club. And I think we are going to be looking to spend some real money this year. We're going to have our parachute payments. We're going to have our money from the sales of the likes of Josh Sargent, Johnny Rowe. We should have a good bit of money to spend. And I think we're going to have to be willing to spend it. Going into year 3 of the Ben Knapper, Johannes Thorup combination. Potentially there are some happenings going on behind the scenes at Carrow Road at the moment as well that could dictate our transfer policy to some extent next season. So I think expect a transfer window similar to that of Sheffield United a few years ago. I remember they got relegated from the Premiership down to the Championship and they went all out. They spent all their parachute payments on new players to get themselves straight back up. And I would expect something similar from Norwich. Not quite to that extent. I'm sure that was around the time that they spent an unholy amount of money on Ryan Brewster. Though I could be misremembering that. Really good feet. Abu Kamara. Can't quite find Harry Toffolo. Cancelo to take the corner to the throw-in is what I'm trying to say. And it doesn't look like Sargent is going to get his departing goal. He is going to get a standing ovation, though, you would imagine. How long has he been here now? What is this, 5 seasons? Pretty sure he's been at Norwich 3 seasons in real life. Or is it 4? This must be year at least 5, if not 6, for Josh Sargent at Norwich City. And he's been absolutely incredible. Double-digit goals again this season. I believe he got double-digit goals last time Norwich were in the Premier League. But it's 3 points on the final day. It's not going to be enough to keep us up. It's not going to be that close, to be fair. And I think this marks the end of an era for Norwich City. It's been a short era. Just 2 years for Johannes Thorup and Ben Knapper. But I think these last 2 years have been kind of a carryover from the previous era. You know, a lot of players in the squad from the, like Daniel Farke, Dean Smith, David Wagner, tenures. And, wow, 63% possession for West Ham. And I think now is the time to really refresh this squad, really rebuild, and it is going to be a fresh new era for Johannes Thorup and Ben Knapper, provided we do get to keep our job next season. Manager rating is low. That's not a guarantee. So we do finish 3 points behind Nottingham Forest, 4 points behind Leicester. We never really had a chance of catching Crystal Palace or Brighton. And we join Burnley and Bournemouth in being relegated from the Premier League. Okay, so here's the deal. We got fired, and there isn't really any way that I can prevent that from happening. I've tried all sorts. There are obviously no games left to play. We cannot improve people's morale in terms of player performance and team performance. I've tried my best to appease everybody in terms of contracts. I've tried releasing everybody with the lowest morale that we can afford to release so that brings the average morale of the squad up. I simply can't avoid being fired during the summer. So there's basically 2 things that we could do. Number one, we could start a new series. That series could only really go 2 seasons maximum because FC25 obviously is around the corner. Or we could continue this series with a different club. If we advance, we do have offers from the likes of Sheffield Wednesday, even Premier League offers. Now, I think we got relegated from the Premier League, so then being offered the job at Fulham is probably not that realistic. Derby in the Championship, Barnsley in the Championship, Charlton, Bolton. I think we could take any of those Championship jobs and it would be perfectly realistic. So let me know in the comments below, how should we proceed? We have time before FC25 for 2 more seasons. Do we want to A, start a new series with a completely different team, start afresh at the beginning of the 24-25 season with a brand new series that we know is only going to last 2 seasons? Do we want to continue this, make it the Johannes Thorup career mode rather than the Norwich City career mode, and continue for 2 more seasons in the save that we currently have going with one of these teams? If so, let me know which team that is. Sheffield Wednesday, I think Fulham are probably off the table. Derby, Barnsley, Charlton, Bolton would be the options. Or we could just completely take a break until FC25. I think we've got time to play a little bit more of FC24. I'd quite like to play a little bit more FC24 before FC25 comes around. But that is an option as well. If you just want to break from the channel, and if you just want me to go away for a month until 25 comes out, let me know that as well. Me again, currently editing this video, and upon reflection, I don't think we've got time for 2 additional seasons before FC25 releases, but we certainly have time for 1. So a third idea, and what I think might be the best idea, is that we do a 1-season sprint to glory. So we choose a top 5 club in one of the big 5 leagues, and we try our best to win a trophy in just a single season. We can be a little bit more ambitious with the transfers than usual. We can spend a bit more money than we usually would. We'd basically be pushing all our chips in to cash in a trophy in just a single season. And I think in particular, it might be fun to use one of the 2 Milan clubs, since they will be disappearing officially in FC25. So that's another idea as well. Let me know what you think about that one. But that will unfortunately do it for season 2 of our realistic Norwich City career mode. Shame it had to end in that way. I cannot wait for FC25 to come around so we can avoid this kind of situation. I guarantee if Norwich go up this season and come straight back down next season, there's absolutely no way Johannes Thorup would be fired. But that's the situation in FC24. Thankfully, it's not going to be the situation in FC25. We can turn off completely being able to be fired by the CPU board. So we'll look forward to that in the next game. We will look forward to something in the next episode. Again, let me know in the comments below what you would prefer to see, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.